Good day, everyone. We're coming towards the end of the semester, and today we're going to be talking about ceremonial speeches or speaking to entertain. We're going to talk about the nature of entertainment, understanding entertaining speeches, and special occasion speeches. So there's a lot of different ways that you might speak to entertain. It could be something like an award speech, a champagne toast, an acceptance speech, or a motivational speech. But ultimately, they all come down to the three elements. Number one is to capture an audience's attention. You want to delight and amuse the audience. And that's not just humor, but it's also drama. We don't just watch comedies, right? We watch a lot of action, we watch a lot of drama. So make sure that you're including that too, if appropriate. Now, the ultimate is always going to stay the same. You want to be prepared. If this is something like a toast where you had very little time to prep, well, basic notes on a napkin is better than nothing because, as we know, anxiety causes our brain to malfunction. So, having those notes on a napkin can be your saving grace. Think about the occasion and the audience, right? Make sure that it's effective and socially appropriate, and think about why your audience will care. I probably beat this horse a little bit too much, but it's so important to think about where you are and whether or not grandma's going to think your joke is appropriate at a wedding or your boss. So, something to think about. Special occasion speeches might include things like weddings, bar mitzvahs, award ceremonies, funerals, or political events. So, ceremonial speaking could be things like a speech of presentation. It's a brief speech given to accompany a prize or honor. This might be a perfect thing to do if you are chosen as the most valuable player for your team, or if you're chosen for a scholarship for school. Think about the organization, whether that be the sports team or the organization or family that gave you the scholarship, and congratulate other people who could have won and recognize their efforts, right? Think about, the accomplishments of the organization. Speeches of acceptance, typically components of speech and acceptance organizations. When you are doing a speech of acceptance, you want to thank the givers of the award. You want to thank those who achieved your goal, and you want to put the award or honor into perspective. Why this award is meaningful for you. We're about to watch a video, Best Actor Acceptance from Tom Hanks from, I want to say it's 1992, Philadelphia story, and really listen for these 3 points. Let's check it out.
And the Oscar goes to Tom Hanks in Philadelphia.
Here's what I know. I could not be standing here without that undying love that was just sung about by not Bruce, but Neil Young. And I have that in a lover that is so close to fine, we should all be able to experience such heaven right here on earth. I know also that I should not be doing this. I should not be here, but I am because of the union of such filmmakers as Ed Saxon, Ron Nicewaner, Christy Z, Attack Fujimoto, Jonathan Demme, who seems to have these attached to his limbs for every actor that works with him of late. And a cast that includes Antonio Banderas, who second to my lover, is the only person I would trade for. and a cast that includes many other people, but the actor who really put his film image at risk and shown because of his integrity, Mr. Denzel Washington, who I really must share this with. I would not be standing here if it weren't for two very important men in my life, so two that I haven't spoken with in a while, but I had the pleasure of just the other evening, Mr. Raleigh Farnsworth, who was my high school drama teacher, who taught me that act well the part, there all the glory lies. And one of my classmates under Mr. Farnsworth, Mr. John Gilkerson. I mention their names because they are two of the finest gay Americans, two wonderful men that I had the good fortune to be associated with, to fall under their inspiration at such a young age. I wish my babies could have the same sort of teacher, the same sort of friends. And there lies my dilemma here tonight. I know that my work, in this case, is magnified by the fact that the streets of heaven are too crowded with angels. We know their names. They number 1,000 for each one of the red ribbons that we wear here tonight. They finally rest in the warm embrace of the gracious Creator of us all, a healing embrace that cools their fevers, that clears their skin, and allows their eyes to see the simple, self-evident, common-sense truth that is made manifest by the benevolent Creator of us all and was written down on paper by wise men, tolerant men in the city of Philadelphia 200 years ago. God bless you all. God have mercy on us all, and God bless America.
So a lot of you may not be familiar, but Philadelphia's story was a story about a lawyer who was gay and was discriminated against by his agency when he was HIV positive. Now, back in 1992, when this film was made, maybe even a little bit earlier, the AIDS epidemic was raging through the gay community, and the government had done exactly nothing about it. They were wearing ribbons in order to support the movement to get them help and for research into HIV and AIDS. So when Tom Hanks was putting that award into perspective, that's the larger context that he was talking about. He gives thanks to the givers of the award. He gives thanks to those who helped him achieve it. And then he put the award into perspective, into a larger perspective of his life. Ceremonial speeches, it could be a speech of introduction. So maybe you're introducing somebody in your club or at your work up to speak. So this is kind of the general organization of that. You want to do a hook intro. The body points include why this, generally what the speaker is going to talk about, why the speaker is qualified, and why we should listen to him. And then the conclusion is very simple, welcomes the speaker to the stage. Let's check out an example on that. If you've been watching Only Murders in the Building, you may recognize this person.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Martin.
Thank you and welcome to the 30th Annual AFI Life Achievement Award, or as it is known this year, the AFI Midlife Achievement Award. We're here tonight to honor Tom Hanks. And the great thing... Well, thank you, but tonight is really about him. I remember when I first saw Tom Hanks in a movie, and I thought, this guy's good, I wish him luck. And then I saw him in Big, and I thought, he's got comedy chops, that's fantastic, and that's a rare quality. Then in Apollo 13, I saw the brilliance of his dramatic acting, and I said to myself, mother But Tom has all the qualities of an AFI honoree. As an actor, you have shown great range. And those of you actors in the room who don't know what the word means, let me give you an example of range. In one movie I did, I played an estate lawyer, and in the movie I'm doing currently, I am playing a tax lawyer. Now, Tom has uttered some of the most memorable lines in the film business. Houston, we have a problem. Life is like a box of chocolates. And of course, I'd rather do it my way, Mr. Spielberg. But how did Tom come so far so quickly? Well, nepotism. It just so happens that his great-great-great-great-great-great-grand-uncle, Luke Hanks, was none other than the great-great-grandfather of Abraham Lincoln. And I'm not kidding. Take a look. You can... You can really see the similarities. Except, of course, for the honesty. Now, every major career takes a stumble, and the measure of an artist is his ability to stage a comeback. After Forrest Gump failed to take in even $600 million, Tom, you bounced back with Saving Private Ryan, which unfortunately stalled around $300 million. And yet, here you are tonight.
Obviously a bit of tongue-in-cheek, but he generally is the speaker, speaks about the speaker's topic, why the speaker is qualified, and why the audience should listen to him. Apparently it's nepotism. Next, we have toasts, and I guarantee you, if you have never given a toast, you will give a toast in your life. Make sure you're focusing on nonverbal cues of the person being toasted. You don't want to embarrass them. Make sure it's accessible to the audience, that they get the jokes. You don't want to just have a conversation with you and the person you're giving a toast to. It's to everybody. And the conclusion is very simple. Let's raise our glasses. Here's another example, a little bit of a fun one. It's from the movie Wedding Singer.
Now the best man's gonna come up here and say a few words, so let's put our hands together for the groom's brother, David.
When my brother, Harold, asked me to be the best man at his wedding, I was like, oh, of course, man. Because you've always been there for me. Like when I was in rehab, and like the time I couldn't find my car. Because Harold, you know, he's always been the dependable one, and I've always been the screwed up one. Right, Dad? Why can't you be more like your brother? Harold would never beat up his landlord.
He's drunk as shit.
But, little newsflash, Pop. Harold ain't so perfect. Remember that time in Puerto Rico when we picked up those two, well, I guess they were prostitutes, but I don't remember paying.
Okay, how about that?
How about that?
Yeah, what?
Terrific. Huh? I'm a person too, Pop, goddammit. I'm a person too.
You're a moron!
Okay. The best man, everybody.
Best man, the better man.
Hey, we've all done crazy things in our lives, so. He's playing the guitar now, isn't that great? You're doing good.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
It's because I'm the best guitar player in the world. Yeah. Self-taught, no lessons. Thank you very much, Pop.
All right.
They'll be divorced in a year.
Very good. I think we all know that when you fall in love, the emptiness kind of drifts away. That's all I'm talking about. I've done some crazy things in my life, too, but then I met a very special girl. A girl who I'm actually marrying next week. Thank you. So all I'm saying is that when you fall in love like you guys, the emptiness drifts away because you find something to live for, each other. And the way I've seen you two looking into each other's eyes all day long, I can tell that you're going to live for each other for the rest of your lives. So cheers.
It's a good wedding singer.
Okay, well, now on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Harold Veltri, you guys have a nice dinner. George Stitcher here is going to take over on lead vocal, so take it away, George.
So again, a little bit of a more fun one, but a great example of a toast. The first speaker didn't really focus on the nonverbal cues of the person being toasted, didn't see how embarrassing this all was. But then when Adam Sandler's character took over, it was still accessible to the audience. And at the end, let's raise our glasses. So pretty simple. All right. Eulogies. Eulogies can be perhaps the hardest time that we'll ever have to give a speech. So here are some keys for that. Number one, it does not just have to be about your experience. Gather information from other people. Figure out what they saw the other person as. What are some of the fun stories that they had that maybe are similar to your own? It can be partially lighthearted. You'll find in a lot of the most emotional states of our life, we need to laugh. And ultimately, it's about who this person was and what the person stood for in life. Let's check out an example.
Mrs. Lee, I believe you have some words to say about the dearly departed.
I'm not going to sing praises for my late husband. Not today. Neither am I going to talk about how good he was. Enough people have done that here. Instead, I want to talk about some things that will make some of you feel a bit uncomfortable. First off, I want to talk about what happened in bed. Ever had difficulty starting your car engine in the morning? Well, that's exactly what David's snoring sounded like. But wait, snoring wasn't everything. There was also this rear-end wind action going on as well. Some nights, it would be so forceful, it would wake him up. What was that? He would ask. Oh, it's the dog, I would say. Go back to sleep, dear. Oh, you might find this all very funny, but towards the end of his life, when his illness was at its worst, these sounds indicated to me that my David was still alive. And what I wouldn't give, just to hear those sounds again before I sleep. In the end, it's these small things that you remember, the little imperfections that make them perfect for you. So to my beautiful children, I hope one day you too find yourselves life partners who are as beautifully imperfect as your father was to me.
a lot of different speeches that you're going to see out there that we're not going to dive into too much. But there are things like speeches for public relations, and this is to persuade the audience that they're acting in the public's best interest. You see this a lot when there's a disaster, like for example, Deepwater Horizon, which was the oil spill in the Gulf several years ago. Probably most people listening to this, watching this, don't remember this, but they tried to persuade the audience that they're acting in the public's best interest. PG&E seems to try to do this a lot. They're speeches of justification, and it's to persuade the audience goodwill for a decision made. You see this a lot when we bomb another country. The president comes up on stage and says on screen and says, this is why we bombed them, and this is why it's a good thing. And then there's speeches of apology. I always find these kind of fascinating. I should do like a deep dive into this. Speeches of apology are tough. They're very, very tough because if your anchor of acceptance, which you might remember from reading the book in Persuasion, is in rejection, there's no way you're going to be open to a speech of apology. However, a good speech of apology, they need to be honest. They need to take responsibility. They need to say sorry. I put that in quotes because sorry is not always something that is said in exactly those words. And when appropriate, offer restitution. A few years ago, Kevin Hart actually got in a little bit of a pickle with some extramarital shenanigans. I'm not really 100% sure on all the background on that. Feel free to look it up if you'd like. But this is a video that he put out. Let's check it out.
I'm at a place in my life where I feel like I have a target on my back. And because of that, I should make smart decisions. And recently, I didn't. You know, I'm not perfect. I'm not going to sit up here and say that I am or claim to be in any way, shape, or form. And I made a bad error in judgment and put myself in an environment where only bad things can happen, and they did. And in doing that, I know that I'm going to hurt the people closest to me, who I've talked to and apologized to, being my wife and my kids. And I just, you know, it's a shitty moment. It's a shitty moment when you know you're wrong, and there's no excuses for your wrong behavior. At the end of the day, man, I just simply got to do better. But I'm not going to also allow a person to have financial gain off of my mistakes. And in this particular situation, that's what was attempted. I said I'd rather fess up to my mistakes.
Now, whether or not you believe him is a personal reaction, and I'll let you think about that. But he does seem more or less honest. He does take responsibility. He apologized to his wife and his kids, and I'm not sure restitution is appropriate in this case. You see a lot of apologies out there. Compare them and see whether or not you believe them and why you believe them. Often, you'll actually see it through social media. Here's one from Tyra Banks about 5 years ago or so. Been seeing the post about the insensitivity of some past America's Next Top Model moments, and I agree with you. Looking back, there were some really off choices. Appreciate your honest feedback and sending so much love and virtual hugs. The person in particular that she was insensitive to did make a statement that Tyra Banks reached out to her and personally apologized. Speeches of commencement are what we've all dealt with. This is what you will have at your college graduations, what you had at your high school graduations. As a speaker at a commencement, talk about your life and how graduates can learn from your experiences. Make it funny, but also be brief. This is probably the best advice I can give anyone. The fact of the matter is that think about your last graduation. It was probably 90 to 100 degrees. You're sitting in a very hot, probably outside area. You're sweating. The commencement itself is going to take hours. Everybody is tired and you just want to go home. Really, it's exciting. But at the end of the moment, you really just want to go home. The shorter your commencement speaker is, the happier you're going to be. So be brief, impart wisdom, and place the commencement speech in a broader context of the grads' lives. A lot of the speeches I could find online were not short, so I decided not to include any here, but feel free to look at some. They can be very entertaining. They can be great and poignant, especially in the broader context of our lives. I'd also like to encourage you all, if it comes up that you have the possibility of applying for or trying for or presenting a speech for your commencement, I think you should do it. I did have the opportunity and I did not even try for it. And I still regret that to this day. So what did we talk about? Well, we talked about, we went a little bit behind, excuse me. We talked about the nature of entertainment. We talked about understanding entertaining speeches, and we talked about special occasion speeches. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions.